बहुत ही विस्तार से बताया था। दूसरा जो कार्यक्रम हुआ था वो 17 दिसंबर को आयोजित किया गया था। इसमें डॉक्टर सत्येंद्र कुमार जी ने एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप एंड इनोवेशन एज अ करियर अपॉर्चुनिटी के बारे में विस्तार से चर्चा की थी। तीसरा प्रोग्राम हमने इसी काउंसिल के अंतर्गत एक पैनल डिस्कशन किया था, जिसका विषय था आत्मनिर्भर भारत वोकल फॉर लोकल, और ये 19 दिसंबर 2020 को आयोजित किया गया था। फिर इसके बाद हमने चौथा प्रोग्राम किया, आइडेंटिफाइंग इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी कंपोनेंट एट द अर्ली स्टेज ऑफ इनोवेशन। इसका आयोजन 22 दिसंबर को किया गया था। और आज हम लोग इस की अंतिम कड़ी में एक ओरिएंटेशन सेशन करने जा रहे हैं, जो कि हमारा नेशनल इनोवेशन एंड स्टार्टअप पॉलिसी के बारे में है। और इस बारे में विस्तृत जानकारी देने के लिए हमारे साथ हैं श्री जितेंद्र कुमार मिश्रा जी। मैं सर का एक बहुत ही संक्षिप्त में परिचय दे दूं। सर 2 दशकों से भी ज्यादा समय से एजुकेशन के फील्ड से जुड़े हुए हैं। सर के 40 से भी ज्यादा अंतर्राष्ट्रीय व राष्ट्रीय शोध पत्र प्रकाशित हो चुके हैं। सर का रिसर्च एरिया बहुत वाइड है। मैं कल पढ़ रहा था सर का, तो सर ने एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, इंटरनेशनल बिजनेस, हायर एजुकेशन, कंज्यूमर बिहेवियर, सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट एक्सेट्रा में सर ने शोध कराया है। सर डिफरेंट प्रोफेशनल बॉडीज से भी जुड़े हुए हैं। सर रीजनल वाइस प्रेसिडेंट साउथ के पद पर 2018-19 में कार्य कर चुके हैं। सर नेशनल एडवाइजरी बोर्ड ऑफ CEGR दिल्ली के भी मेंबर हैं। सर बहुत सारे मैनेजमेंट इंस्टीट्यूशन में डायरेक्टर और डीन के पद में कार्य कर चुके हैं। वर्तमान में सर जयपुरिया स्कूल ऑफ बिजनेस इंदिरापुरम गाजियाबाद में डायरेक्टर के पद पर कार्यरत हैं। सर मैं आपका पुनः स्वागत और अभिनंदन करता हूं, और मैं सर मंच आपको सौंपता हूं। प्लीज सर।
थैंक यू अरविंद जी। इस विद्यालय की निदेशक डॉक्टर दिव्या नाथ जी, अरविंद यादव जी, सभी गणमान्य शिक्षक गण एवं विद्यार्थियों, यह बहुत ही हर्ष का विषय है कि हम सब आज एक बहुत ही रेलेवेंट विषय पर, जो कि बहुत ही जरूरी भी है आज के परिवेश में, उस पर कुछ चर्चा करने के लिए एक साथ एकत्रित हुए हैं। मैं सबसे पहले बधाई देना चाहूँगा विद्यालय की समस्त टीम को कि उन्होंने अपने विद्यालय में इनोवेशन इंस्टीट्यूट इनोवेशन काउंसिल का गठन किया, जो कि आज के लिए एक आवश्यकता है, एक कंप्लायंस रिक्वायरमेंट भी है, क्योंकि पढ़ाई लिखाई कन्वेंशनली जिस तरह से चल रही थी, पढ़ना, जानना और नौकरी करना, ये सब अपने अपने फेजेस में थे। ये सब एक अलग अलग भाग होते थे पढ़ाई लिखाई के संपूर्ण जीवन के। पहले आपने पढ़ना है, फिर आपने सीखना है, फिर आपने काम करना है। अभी ये इतना टाइम नहीं रह गया है। इस वर्तमान परिवेश में जीवन बहुत तेजी से आगे जा रहा है, और इस समय ये जो एक के बाद दूसरा, दूसरे के बाद तीसरा करने का हमारा चलन था, वो अब कार्य नहीं कर रहा है, वो उसके परिणाम अच्छे नहीं है। तो हमें इन सब को मर्ज करके एक कोलैबोरेटिव सिस्टम डेवलप करने की जरूरत है, ताकि बच्चा पढ़ते समय ही सीखे और सीखने के साथ अपने कैंपस में ही ज्यादा से ज्यादा चीजों को कर सके, जिससे कि जब उसकी पढ़ाई पूरी हो तो उसे इधर उधर देखकर इंतजार नहीं करना पड़े कि अब क्या करना है। वो हमेशा रेडी रहे अपने करियर को, अपने कार्य को आगे ले जाने के लिए। क्योंकि ऑलरेडी आपने 4 प्रोग्राम कर लिए हैं जिन्होंने इस इनोवेशन और एंटरप्रेन्योर से रिलेटेड बहुत सारे परिप्रेक्ष्य को, बहुत सारे एस्पेक्ट्स को कवर किया है। उसके बाद ये कार्यक्रम जो आज है, स्टार्टअप एंड इनोवेशन एंड स्टार्टअप पॉलिसी 2019 मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट की, उसकी चर्चा करना बहुत ही एक रेलेवेंट है। इट इज very much relevant and connected, that after knowing the diverse aspects of entrepreneurship and innovation, we are trying to understand how can we leverage the existing policies, incentives, schemes and support available from the government of India, and what way we can try to take our innovation spirit forward so that we create more independent, skill driven, enterprising individuals from our institution, rather than we just get the people who know a lot, but they are always looking for somebody to provide them the direction and opportunity. So with the with this context, I will start taking you through the policy, which is very comprehensive and one of its own kind that Government of India has brought. If we look at entrepreneurship and innovation, it is not that I am going to take some 50 minutes as I am allotted, but if I exceed 5-7 minutes, please bear with me, because we need to conclude it in a spirit that the students remember it and retain it. So if it exceeds 5-10 minutes time, so don't mind it. I will try to be as fast and as precise as possible. So the innovation policy normally addresses 11 dimensions of the overall entrepreneurship culture development at academic institutions. And all of these dimensions we are going to cover one by one. But if we look at that, why this innovation policy, innovation and startup policy was required. We had a great legacy of producing world-class scholars in all fields, may it be science and technology, or it may be literature, art, music, you name it. You have got world-class scholars in all these fields. And we have created wonders outside India. Few of us has created the similar benchmark in India also, but if you see, our glory comes by our contribution in foreign countries. But when it comes to entrepreneurship, we have always been lagging behind. Barring few, we did not have the people who could choose entrepreneurship as a first priority and try to take it as a mainstream career option. Especially the people passing out from colleges and academic institutions were always standing in queue and looking for job. We are a big country. We are a huge country. We are a diverse country. With such a huge and diverse population, it's not possible for the economy to create so many job opportunities with limited structured organizations. The kind of enterprises that we have got, they at any point of time cannot meet our overall requirement of job with the structured job that we perceive. For example, we want to be in proper offices with our designation, with our salary. These things are not going to be possible ever in our lifetime. But we have a talent. If we are given an opportunity, not only we can utilize our talent to create wealth for ourselves and entire nation, but we can create huge opportunities for work and career to our other fellow mates. And that is where, when the government started mulling over and finding out, why are we not able to lead the innovation and startup despite having one of the best talent available in the country, which is accepted and respected world over. And then they found out perhaps the ecosystem at our institution is not conducive. We are more in transactional mode, where we try to create the students to crack the best of the competition, may it be IAS or may it be CAT, MAT, whatever way, or medical exam. And we always try to prepare them to look for competitive exam to get a job. The focus has never been on nurturing their inherent talent, connecting that talent to available entrepreneurial opportunity, and create the job creators than the job seeker. And after all that research, then government took this initiative, created a separate department within the Ministry of Human Resource Development that is called as Institute Innovation Council. And this council was given the mandate that it has to design the policy guidelines, it has to set the timeline and create the conducive ecosystem and promote entrepreneurial culture across the academic institution. And I'm so very happy that your institution has started the cell, Institute Innovation Cell at your campus, which is going to make a great difference to everyone who is working over there. May it be students, may it be faculty member and staff, or anybody who is associated directly and indirectly. If you look at this policy, why we need to understand it? Because it brings a lot of clarity and it also gives us direction and a step-by-step way to engage in the innovation and entrepreneurship activities. It basically provides the framework that envision the education system which is oriented towards creating a startup and entrepreneurship. And these startup and entrepreneurship activities create opportunities for students and faculty to learn by working, by doing, and also earn while studying. So when you have got this ecosystem working to its full potential, the student and faculty member, while doing their regular routine job, also work with these entrepreneurial opportunities, these entrepreneurial ventures. They learn by doing the things, as well as they also can earn if the entrepreneurial ventures make money. It also make very clear mandate that every higher education institution has to nurture innovation in startup culture. It cannot be a ritual, it cannot be an option. It has to be mainstream mandate for every academic activity. It also encourages students and faculty to consider startup and entrepreneurial career as a mainstream option. I'm happy that you already have organized a seminar on entrepreneurship as a career option. So these are the clear mandates that the education policy put forth. If you look at its main thrust areas, try to address the key requirements that are critical to development and nurturing entrepreneurship. The first thing is strategies and governance for promoting entrepreneurship. How the entrepreneurship should be placed in overall governance structure. What will be the privileges and duties of the people engaged in entrepreneurship activities? What has the mandate on the institution to facilitate and support? These things are very carefully and comprehensively addressed in our institution, in our innovation and startup policy. Next one is incubation and pre-incubation support. If somebody is engaged in entrepreneurial activity, how should he be facilitated so that his entrepreneurial activity does not conflict with his any other activity at institution, or he should not be compelled to get out of it, maybe for examination, for assessment, or any other routine activities. How to clarify it, or how to ensure that resources will not be a constraint if somebody is working on fruitful and useful entrepreneurial venture. Additionally, if the venture is created, what should be the ownership structure? Who should own what much of share, or who should share what much of profit? Those issues are also clearly defined so that the individuals taking up entrepreneurship on campus should not be discouraged, nor should they be exploited. For faculty and students, because they are having the mainstream duty, the faculty members have their assigned academic and administrative tasks, while students have got their academic commitments. The duties are very clearly earmarked. That if somebody is engaging in entrepreneurship venture, what should be the privilege, what should be the concessions, how can they be supported so that the routine activities does not hamper their entrepreneurial initiative. And same way, what would be the incentives? How the resources can be ensured. The critical part is governance and resource. So it make by design entrepreneurship as an integral part of overall mission and vision plan of the institution, and also advises and guides to create a smooth availability of funds so that startups do not die because of the scarcity or paucity of funds. Also, it try to bring in pedagogical intervention so that more and more students are encouraged and nurtured for entrepreneurship and innovation. So these are the 7 broad areas which the innovation and startup policy try to focus on. If we go one by one, so in the first strategies and governance structure. So here it emphasizes that entrepreneurship promotion and development should be one of the major dimensions of higher education strategy. It should not be subsidiary or auxiliary. It has to be mainstream strategic initiative at the educational institution, and they has to take this responsibility as a mission. The universities should, or they may draft their own policy, keeping the national innovation and startup policy as the guiding or guideline. So it is not that it is the final, it has to be followed in letter and spirit, and nothing beyond is accepted. So it is not like Constitution of India that this is be all and end all. It is a guiding principle. Within that principle, the institution can create a formal strategic document which supports their context and context of the locality they are placed in, the context of the students they are engaging in. For example, some institutions are engineering, they may have a different priorities that they need to set. They can make their own document where they can prioritize their activities based on their strength. As in your case, you are more a humanity institution, you can find out that what way the entrepreneurship can be nurtured, keeping in view your set of student, faculty, and resources. Also, it makes sure that the institution should facilitate development of an entrepreneurial ecosystem in the organization with predefined objectives and performance indicator for assessment. So whenever this entrepreneurial ecosystem is created through Institute Innovation Cell, the objectives and achievable goals has to be defined with a timeline, that what it aims to and how will it aim to achieve all those goals, where we comes to resource commitment at intellectual level and financial level, and also how will that be assessed. So both has to be clearly defined, that these are the set goals. We want to create 5 ventures, or we want to create more of prototypes kind of things, and how will those be assessed, that has to be clearly defined. Further, the institution has to be led by mission. It should not be controlled. As we find that the anarchical and bureaucratic system many a time become a hindrance, this policy states that make it be driven by the mission, give autonomy, let it be led by a senior person who can actually drive it by his expertise and influence, and provide him the requisite autonomy to drive this overall entrepreneurship and innovation mission. So don't restrict it, don't try to hold it within the framework of rule, facilitate it in the best possible way, and have a create a sustainable financial strategy. Make sure that the finances should not become a constraint to the ongoing and flourishing innovation and startup initiative. So that has to be designed carefully, where the funds will come from, how much fund the institute is going to allocate for promoting entrepreneurship on campus. What can be the other sources, maybe from government bodies or from other institutions, from CSR activities. It has to carefully thought over, it has to debate and work out that given its location, given its connect, given its network, who all can contribute to the corpus of the fund that will be utilized, and that availability of fund will ensure that the entrepreneurial ventures does not suffer because of the fund scarcity. So we can involve alumni network. We have got institutions like IIT Kharagpur, where the alumni is prime driver of promoting entrepreneurship on campus. We have got institutions where the CSR activities from companies come to promote, like BITS Pilani and all. We have got a lot of schemes. Government of India has brought a wide range of schemes, and it is very generously providing funds to promote the startup and entrepreneurship. We have seen that they have started Atal Entrepreneurship Lab, Atal Tinkering Lab, and they are giving money in crore to create infrastructure. But the government idea is, we can give you seed money to start with, but don't depend on government money. You need to create your own resources. Then only the entrepreneurship and startup mission will sustain. Government can give you initial support to start, but ultimately one has to create their own fund. And one way government or this policy recommend, make sure that 1% of your total fund, whatever you budget, 1% you allocate right from day one to promotion of entrepreneurship and startup. So it has to, that is where the governance and strategies come. In governance itself, when you make a budget, by mission, entrepreneurship and innovation and entrepreneurship is a key thrust area, and you need to allocate 1% fund to make sure that mission is being accomplished. Second is to create culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. Many a time our teaching learning is more driven by marks or knowing the things. It says that change that culture, bring entrepreneurship and innovation in the mainstream of the learning process. And here it says that the higher education institution should be the driving force in developing entrepreneurial culture in the vicinity, regional, social, and community level, and giving opportunity to other startups in the locality. So when you create the entrepreneurship or innovation facility, you make it open for everybody who can make use of it to create innovation in a startup. So a starting point is to create an ecosystem where students are connected, students and faculty can be connected, and they start it as a mission. But anybody who has a potential, try to connect with them and allow them to utilize these facilities to take it further. Secondly, if you don't have incubation center, if you don't have certain facility, try to network with the other institutions who have got this facility. So we talk of both things. If you have a facility, allow other stakeholders to make use of it and take this entrepreneurship and innovation mission forward. If you don't have facility, but you are starting certain things, you are in some stage of your entrepreneurship self development where you have just started as in your institution, you have recently started, I don't know, you may not have the incubation center. You can find wherever the incubation center is available in nearest location, and you can connect and collaborate with that. So it talks of creating a network where every small facility is connected and all together become a bigger facility, and no one should be constrained for anything, maybe the resources, maybe the facility or infrastructure. Additionally, the institution has to create the infrastructure and facility on campus, and it has to link innovation to enterprises to financial success. So it has to be phase-wise. When you are starting, you need to focus on that students, faculty together try to identify the key areas, and they create the ideas which are innovative. They translate those ideas into proof of concept and prototype, and then are being commercialized and being made enterprise, made entrepreneurial ventures. And when these ventures are made, all the things should be connected to make it succeed in terms of finances. It should be financially viable and successful. All the facilities that are there should be available for everybody all the time. It should not be restricted, as we discussed earlier. Further, incubation cum technology commercialization unit should be a separate entity, preferably registered under the Section 8 of Company Act 2013. The idea is that you make itself a separate unit which has got independent governance structure. And this governance structure or this board of your Section 8 company can take its own decision to take this incubation cum technology commercialization unit forward. It need not depend on the larger governance structure of the institute as a whole. So it try to give it more speed, autonomy, and flexibility that make it as a independent legal unit where it has got all the rights and privileges to take required decision to take this venture forward. So this is one part that it focuses on. It also offer relevant services to mentoring support through pre-incubation, incubation units in return of fees and all. So institutions, after creating the facility, may choose to facilitate others either by charging fees or free, whatever is required. That depends on them. That depends on the venture. You may be supporting some smaller institution which are not having paying capability, but you have got the incubation facility and all. In that case, you may just render your services, extend your facilities free of cost. But if you see that something is possible and the given venture can pay you whatever is feasible, you can charge money. So it doesn't stop you from charging money. Basically, it is saying you create your own financially viable structure and take it forward in a consistent way. The other thing, don't try to make a conflict between your regular routine activity and startup and innovation activities. Allow the faculty, staff, or students flexibility by all means to take this entrepreneurship activity forward. It may be in terms of leave or sabbatical, it may be paid leave or leave without pay. For students, it may be attendance waiver that they may remain engaged in entrepreneurial activities and they miss the class. For that, we need to give a consideration for which we have flexibility to decide our minimum benchmark and have our own policy. But we need to facilitate. We cannot say that you are, even if you are willing to work on entrepreneurial venture, you will have to have your 80% classes or class attendance and all. So we need to create flexibility, not to be in conflict with what we have been doing, but to facilitate the new mission that we have taken up. And in return of all these facilitation, institute has the right to have the stake in the entrepreneurial venture, which may vary from 2% to 9.5% in terms of equity. It is being capped so that institution should not become a major shareholder and it start guiding. So the flexibility of the innovator and people who are creating that venture should remain with them. So suppose somebody has created a business, they should not be forced to do whatever they don't believe in. So even when it comes to sharing of the equity or stake in the entrepreneurial venture, where institute can have its stake because it has facilitated, it has invested, it has given them time, infrastructure, mentorship, everything that they have to give. That is what it advocated in the beginning. For that they can charge, but not to dominate and become a hindrance to the overall spirit of the entrepreneurship. So they should leave the flexibility, they should leave the leadership and decision making with the people who have created it. And at the same time, they can charge between 2 to 9.5% of a stake that compensate for their investment. In case of compulsory equity model, suppose the institution has created a patent in engineering and other areas, the institutions themselves create patents. And if that patent is to be commercialized, set of student and faculty take that patent and create a business model out of it, then it should not be forced that you will have to go immediately for that. They should be given cooling period of 3 months or so that they decide whether they want to partner with you or not. Also, institute can provide services and facility to outsider entrepreneur too, either by licensing their patents or opening their facilities, as we have discussed. In case of faculty members engaged in entrepreneurial activity, there is no restriction of taking the stake. A faculty himself become entrepreneur on campus while he is a faculty if he does not spend more than 20% of time beyond his regular activity. So in a way, it says that you allow 20% of time to every faculty to engage in entrepreneurial activity. That we will discuss further, that you make part of your overall performance assessment system. You make the engagement in entrepreneurial activity as the integral component of the duty of the faculty. So every faculty has to teach, they have to do research, they have to do administrative activities, they have to do assessment, and they have to contribute to entrepreneurship development also. And for that, 20% weightage may be given. That is what it indicates. So that is one way to make a mandate to faculty that entrepreneurship is not something that is a choice, but it is going to be part and parcel of your assessment process, and therefore you can start engaging. If they do 80% of their routine work, then you don't have any reason to restrict their success sharing. If they have created a venture and they have not sacrificed any of the assigned routine academic and institutional activities, then they can take any amount of equity. But if they share the resources of the institution, suppose they sacrifice the classes, they don't engage in the routine activities as other faculty members do. In those cases, the equity can be maximum 20% of the total share of faculty that institute can take. In the previous case, the faculty can take all the stake or as much stake as they wish. But in second case, when the institute is sharing the resources and faculty is utilizing the time from his regular duty hours and also the resources of the institution, in that case, the institute can have 20% of total share of the faculty or 9.5% of the total stake, whichever is lower. So in overall venture, the institute can take a share, which can be 20% of the total share or 9.5% of the stake of the entire venture, whichever is lower, and that way they can compensate for whatever, if I say investment, because saying sacrifice is not very encouraging, whatever investment they have made by allowing the faculty the time and resources. Another part to create this ecosystem, institutions are required to start courses which are more new age courses, which promote entrepreneurship and innovation. So you are already a commerce college. Going forward, you may think of starting something like MBA or PGDM in innovation and entrepreneurship or venture development, or within your commerce course, within the course of your commerce, you can have some specialization or elective vertical. Suppose in third year, you create a course where you take 3 elective courses in innovation and entrepreneurship development, and those courses can be opted by the people or the students who are interested in entrepreneurship, and that can lead to their greater engagement in your innovation institute institute innovation council. So this is another guideline that government has brought through regulators like AICTE and all. So this is another thing you can think of. This is another aspect of nurturing innovation and startup. And here, the policy says that the institute should establish clear processes and guidelines for easy creation and nurturing of startup. That is what we are discussing. Make it flexible, make it accommodative, make it encouraging. Don't make it restrictive and control driven. And it has to be more of a democratic process, which should be ethically and transparently managed. In this, there may be various activities that the institution can take or can undertake through a committee, which is pre-incubation and incubation support. Whatever is required, pre-incubation and incubation support, that they can take. It can attach, if it does not have incubation facility, it can attach itself with the nearest incubation center so that the incubation doesn't suffer. It has to allow licensing of IPR that we discussed. If the institute itself has got an IPR and the student can, and team of the student and faculty can create a venture, they should allow the licensing. The institute should allow students to set up a startup, maybe in social, technology or non-technology, or working part-time for a startup while studying on campus as intern. It is very innovative. So don't wait for students to complete their program and go to some other venture outside and learn while working on the activities in that organization. You create a lot of facility through your institute innovation council, and when you have got multiple ventures or multiple projects running, the students right from first year can contribute and start learning by working on those ventures. Depending upon the nature of venture and the contribution, it may be paid as a stipend, or it may not be paid, but it can be surely a work on campus, which can be part of the assignment or project or other assessment components, which can be accommodated in academics. And the time they spend while working on these entrepreneurial activity can be appreciated. And that way we create an entrepreneurial mindset. So everybody who is working as an entrepreneur or who is associated with Institute Innovation Council may not necessarily be taking the entrepreneurship as a career, But this engagement will create an entrepreneurial mind. Whatever they do, they will be more working as an entrepreneur. They will be risk taking. They will be trying to understand the pros and cons in a better way. They will have an analytical mind. They can see the context. So those that we call entrepreneurship. So they may not become entrepreneur, but they can surely work as an entrepreneur in the given organization or given field of work they choose to go for. This is one very, very critical and important aspect that this policy emphasizes, and institutions should try to create so that their dependence for looking for projects and internship with organization reduces. We know that it's real pain to get live projects or internship with the organizations, and even once it is done, monitoring it and getting the right output is another challenge. This all can be addressed if we make our institute innovation cell really functioning and being vibrant. We should allow students to earn credit for working. So our academic system should not be restrictive, that if we have got the courses to be studied in class and there are assessment through written test and assignments, it should made flexible where we can assign credit for their work, their exposure, their engagement in entrepreneurial activity. So this flexibility, this modification is very much required from the administrative part, academic part. The student innovator and entrepreneurs may be allowed to opt for a startup in place of mini project or major project or seminar and summer internship. So for everything that is serious work in academics, entrepreneurship has to be made an option. It may be their final dissertation or their seminar course or entrepreneurship or internship or anything that is there. We should create entrepreneurship activity as an option. So a student can choose either their regular academic activities that they have been doing, or in lieu of that, they can also undertake entrepreneurship as the other activity. Additionally, if you see, if the student or faculty is going to try their idea and create a venture and taking it to market, and they need time, so they may be allowed a break. Faculty can be allowed a sabbatical and all. The students can be allowed a study break, and once they complete their entrepreneurial activity, they can come back and they can resume their study. We have seen that the new education policy have provided this flexibility. But before that, the innovation, the National Innovation and Startup Policy has also advocated that if the students want to go and try their hands for innovation and entrepreneurship, they should be given a study break. And after they come, they can start from where they have taken the break from. The student should be allowed to sit in examination despite having lesser attendance while working on the entrepreneurship that we discussed. So institute can have its own policy. Suppose normally we say 85% is a minimum requirement for sitting an exam. For them, it may be 40% or whatever way institute want to rationalize. But that flexibility has to be given so that students are facilitated to work on entrepreneurship. Otherwise, they will remain bothered for sitting in the class and all. And the entrepreneurship will turn out to be ritualistic, not actually working to the potential. Also, once the prototypes and all are being done, and students and faculty team want to create, or especially students want to create a company, they have to get it registered. The address become a big issue because the students normally stay in hostel. They don't have a proper address. So in such cases, institute should allow students to use hostel address for registering their venture. They should not restrict it. In case of product ownership rights for technology development that institute undertake and do, if funds or resources of the higher education institution are used substantially, then the IPR could be made jointly. So if the faculty and students are working by completely dedicating their working hours for such innovation activity, they are not doing their routine activity, or institute is spending money in sponsoring this very project, then whatever innovation happens, that can be a joint intellectual property of both the innovating team and the institution. If not, then it can be purely with the innovating team of student and faculty. In case it is a joint IPR, because institute has spent money and provided all the facility, and the innovating team has done the work, it can be shared. Either it can be licensed or in other way. But even if it is being provided licensed by the institution, the royalty should not be more than 4% of the sales price, or preferably it should be between 1 and 2%, 1 to 2%, unless it is pure software. And if it is purely software, then it can be decided mutually, maybe between 1 to 4%, or it can be decided mutually. So it says that institute has to promote in all respect, it has to invest money. If by all that means anything comes, institute can have the joint IPR, but not a major dominant stake. It should not be dominant stakeholder. The dominant stake should be with the team of student and faculty. The institute can have a minor share, which may be a 4% of the sales price, or 1 to 2% preferably. In case of any dispute, the committee of 5 members should address the matter. It should be more democratic process, so that the spirit is that the innovating team or team that is working on entrepreneurship and startup should not be discouraged or dominated. It should be facilitated all the time. Further, interdisciplinary research and publication on startup and entrepreneurship should be promoted, so that we can have cross-fertilization of idea. But one thing is to be noted here: the innovation and startup policy says that you should not count your ongoing research publication in place of entrepreneurship and innovation. You need to separate, but you should undertake the interdisciplinary and interdisciplinary research, which can help you generate cross-fertilization of ideas and make the entrepreneurship ideas coming, more innovative idea coming for entrepreneurship. In case of organizational capacity, human resources, and incentives, it says that institute could recruit staff that have a strong innovation and entrepreneurial experience. So when we are trying to recruit faculty and all, we need to keep it in mind that we get the requisite proportion of the talent in terms of our faculty and staff who come from entrepreneurial background. So normally we have got the qualifications dictated by our regulator UGC or AICTE or MHRD. Those needs to be modified in the spirit of the National Innovation and Startup Policy, and we need to include or give weightage to such talent in the overall eligibility criteria. Faculty and department of the institute should work in coherence and cross-departmental linkages for maximum utilization of internal resources and knowledge. So it should not be isolated. Suppose the technology department is creating a technology, the management of commerce department can create a business model for making a business out of that model, and both the departments collaboratively try to create a venture. So it says that try to create collaborative ecosystem, try to encourage collaboration across the departments and function, so that we can have a better outcome of the available resources and knowledge. Further, faculty should be encouraged to do courses, training, certificates on innovation and entrepreneurship and IPR, so that already IIC, MHRD has been organizing around the year training program. Additionally, if anybody want to attend, any of the student or faculty want to attend something which is going to make them having additional capacity or capability in the area of innovation and startup, institute should sponsor and promote. They should not restrict. So as we sponsor and promote for research, we should equally or even more try to sponsor and support for innovation in startup, maybe undertaking courses or training or anything. Further, a performance matrix should be developed and used for evaluation, part of annual performance process. We discussed in the beginning that we should have the entrepreneurship right from selection. We should have it in criteria. We should give weightage to entrepreneurial talent, and when we go for performance assessment, these predefined objectives and in performance indicator should be part of assessment part as well. So in totality, if you see, innovation and startup or entrepreneurship and startup contribution on the campus by the student and faculty has to be recognized in a due way, and it has through a transparent process, and it has to be appreciated and incentivized in the best possible way. Further, it says that one should create innovation pipeline and pathways for entrepreneurs at institute level. So our institution should not only create the degree holders who are capable of doing great intellectual work, but they should produce, they should create the great entrepreneurs from campus. And for that, the institution should create opportunity for exposure to maximum number of students. For example, this very seminar we are organizing, this very orientation we are organizing, you have organized so many orientation before. This is one of the activity for creating exposure to the students. So each student should be exposed as much as possible to such innovation, startup and entrepreneurship activities. That is one. Secondly, they should be taught courses on innovation and entrepreneurship in their in their regular curriculum. So as we discussed, it can be an elective part, or every student should have at least one course on innovation and entrepreneurship in their undergrad program. You can decide that in your curriculum where it fits best, but towards the second year or third year, it should be. Preferably, if you can create a full elective course in third year, that will be great. And by all these activities, we should invite people who are successful entrepreneurs. We should take them to entrepreneurial exhibitions. We should encourage them to participate in hackathons and all. And that way, we should create an entrepreneurial mindset. We should help the student to think of their creative bent and also overcome their hesitation. They should be fully aware of the space of entrepreneurship and innovation. They may or may not choose it as a full career, but at least they should be fully aware. So these were certain things that that are very, very critical. If I have to revisit it, I can say that this entire policy says that make entrepreneurship, innovation, and startup as the integral part of your overall academic mission. So it is not only create or train the best minds in the best way for academic and intellectual acumen, but more for entrepreneurship and startup. For that, you create all provisions to create a flexibility and inclusiveness and accommodate them so that their initiatives in the area doesn't suffer. Thirdly, you create more opportunity so that everybody is exposed and get an opportunity to work in this area. Encourage people to undertake courses, trainings, etc. to further strengthen their entrepreneurial and innovation acumen. Now, the governance and all we have seen. Now there are norms that if somebody want to undertake a startup as a faculty on campus, what the institute should provide or how should the institute facilitate. It should not be like if somebody is working on a startup, so we all as a team of faculty, staff, or as a board start saying he is not doing his regular job, he's not teaching, he's not doing assessment, he's not contributing as everybody else is doing, and still he is being given salary. It should not be seen in that spirit. We need to understand whatever he's doing by working on a startup is equally important. It is no less. And how can we make it acceptable and more at par with what others are doing is being clearly mentioned in the policy. It says that for better coordination of entrepreneurial activities, norms of faculty to do startups should be created in the institution. So we need to have a policy document. We say your 10 hours of teaching per week and your certain work on a startup has got some equivalence. So we need to create that policy so that such kind of things doesn't become a challenge and it doesn't hamper the overall institution function. Role of faculty may vary from faculty and staff, may vary. Faculty and staff should be encouraged to do courses, training certificates on innovation, entrepreneurship, and IPR. So we need not say that since somebody is not having enough exposure, he should not be allowed. So if any other faculty member has the idea, he wants some more refinement or they want some more clarity to take the entrepreneurship and innovation forward or become part of innovation cell, Institute Innovation Council, they should be allowed to undertake training, requisite training, and do so. Institute should work on developing policy on conflict of interest. It should not be that somebody is taking full salary, not doing work, and also making great money out of successful enterprise from innovation cell. So these are the conflict of interest. If you are being given leeway, you are not being counted for your commitment on academic front, and you are doing some work in a startup and you earn from a startup, then how the salary and startup earning can be normalized so that it doesn't become the conflict of interest or exploitation. So those rules and policies to be framed that institution can decide on their own with the discussion in board. Faculty startup may consist of faculty members alone or with the students either way. So it is not that if a team of faculty and a student is doing, we say all the work has been done by students and by faculty is taking share. So it has to be through clearly defined norms and policy. And it is very much possible that both student and faculty as a team can create something and they have a requisite share. The student can have the idea, the faculty can do the mentoring, they can do hand-holding, and they can help them to come up with the successful enterprise. In case the faculty staff holds executive or managerial position for more than 3 months while they work in a startup, they can be provided sabbatical with salary, without salary, in lieu of the existing leave or whatever the institute believe is good, but they should be provided the flexibility to do so. They should not be called on emergency and their ongoing work on entrepreneurial front should be hampered. Faculty must clearly separate and distinguish ongoing research that we discussed a while ago at the institute from the entrepreneurship. It should not be that I'm doing some research and I start counting it in entrepreneurship activity and start claiming the time and other facility for that. It should not be. If it is entrepreneurial activity, it should be clearly defined and it should not be mixed with our ongoing research. Faculty must not involve research staff or any other staff of institute in the activity at the startup or vice versa. Initially, we said, or the policy has advocated that it should be cross-functional, but it should not be involving the other staff and compensating one for other. We need to understand. We need to have a cross-functional work by which we can have cross-fertilization of idea and have better utilization of knowledge. But when it comes to actual tangible contribution of time and effort, it should not be interchangeable. That we use research associate for entrepreneurship work and we count them or facilitate them at both the fronts. That should not be there. It should be clearly differentiated and distinguished. In case of selection of a faculty, a startup by outside national or international accelerator, a maximum leave or sabbatical, maybe for 1 semester or more, can be provided. Suppose your students are being selected by some of the program of MIT Media Lab, which is very well known for their startup and entrepreneurship, or Stanford Innovation Cell. So if they are selected on some project, we should facilitate as an institution to undergo or undertake that training and complete that part of their learning. We should not be stopping them. The human subject related research in a startup should get clearance from the ethics committee. So if there are certain things, for example, somebody is doing some kind of process on trial of vaccine for corona. So it has some human element and it has to be cleared by the ethics committee of the institution. It should not be abrupt, which has got any kind of conflict. So in totality, it has to be facilitating, transparent and supportive process. If we try to look at that, how can that ecosystem be nourished by bringing the pedagogical changes in the curriculum itself. So one is we are creating Institute Innovation Council. Other is we are trying to recruit the faculty which has entrepreneurial and innovation talent. Thirdly, we are creating the means and ways so that the people from all corners, from all walks of institutional life contribute to this process, we also need to make some fundamental changes in our pedagogy, in our curriculum, so that the entrepreneurial mindset can be developed. And it says that pedagogy changes needs to be done to ensure maximum number of students projects are innovation based. And it should be around life changes. It should be constantly reviewed and updated. So when we are designing the project or assignment, these should be more in spirit of innovation, in the spirit of problem solving. We should create awareness among students and teachers, and the teaching method should include case studies, real business stories, failure and success, experiential learning. We can organize boot camps and other things so that the students do certain things by hand and get a hands-on experience. One very important thing and very interesting thing is we need to teach that how to tolerate failure, because entrepreneurship doesn't come easy. It is not the first shot that you will get the success and you will become Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg. It is going through a lot of cycles of failure, and therefore when we are training our student or faculty on innovation and entrepreneurship, we need to train them well on how to handle failure, and knowing it better is always more sustainable in the journey of entrepreneurship. We need to have collaboration and co-creation of business relations and knowledge exchange. We need to have collaboration with all the stakeholders within the institution, as we discussed, across the departments, across the functions, within the vicinity, with the social organizations, with the non-business organization, with the business and industry, with social unit. And we should try to have a very collaborative system by which we can identify the real challenges of day-to-day life and utilize our young talent and a team of faculty to address them, to develop the solution which will come up with innovation and entrepreneurship. Also to raise funds and try to facilitate that our entrepreneurship and innovation activities doesn't suffer. So we need to have collaborative way of functioning where we build long-term relationship and try to leverage on the strength of the other stakeholder, and also address the challenges faced by the different people. The last one, the final one, is when we do it all, how to ensure that what all has been done was really worthy of all the commitment, was a success or not. For that, we need to have a clearly defined performance indicator. Suppose we are having the Institute Innovation Council. So what are its performance indicator? How many of proof of concepts are required? How many prototypes are required? How many startups should be registered? What all is going to be considered as performance or as a kind of contribution of this Institute Innovation Council, or the people working on that has to be clearly defined. Secondly, impact assessment of institute entrepreneurial initiatives such as pre-incubation, incubation, entrepreneurship education should be performed regularly. You all must be getting to know that the MHRD Institute Innovation Council has got around the year calendar, and they have got their way of assessing that how well the various councils at different institutions are doing. So that is one part. They keep conducting the quarter-wise activities and they keep giving you a score that how well you have done. Same way in institute also we can have the parallel system and make sure that we can improvise. We need not simply be tick marking the MHRD calendar, but we can do something more innovative and more relevant to our context. Finally, focus on input, process, output, outcome, impact level in terms of sustainable, social, financial, and technological impact in the market has to be there. So here we need to understand that there is the innovation and venture creation, and there is a financial success. There is a gap. So when we are utilizing the Institute Innovation Council on campus, it should be more on promoting the entrepreneurial and innovation education. We should create awareness among faculty and students. We should train them to build capability of innovation and entrepreneurship, and we should try to facilitate these capabilities translating into some tangible outcome in terms of proof of concepts or prototypes. And then these proof of concepts and prototypes will go to next level to become entrepreneurial venture. And once it goes to become entrepreneurial venture, then it will prove success or failure. In this whole journey, the performance indicator and all has to be carefully designed. We should not be rushing or mixing. So the final impact has to be assessed by counting on all the contribution. It should not be only that if you can create a big enterprise, you are having a great innovation cell. Of course it will be, but that's not all. Even if you have been able to, because you, with your context and capabilities, if you have been able to create good proof of concept and a kind of archive which can be utilized by somebody else also, is equally good. So that is how it has to be taken in the entire spirit. It has not to be looked from one phase to another, or from one side to another. So if we have to sum up, we can very well say that the Institute Innovation, the National Innovation and Startup Policy, is a good initiative that has formalized promotion of innovation and entrepreneurship activities on academic institutions' campuses. It has given enough guidelines, enough direction, enough process by which the institutions can have a clarity and they can create better system. So it is a starting point that facilitate the institutions to design something in this space of innovation and a startup, but it's not all. Institution can further improvise and make it better. And it is the need of the time that our current generation, that we call millennials or Gen Z, who are known for their ambition, for their confidence, for their technological acumen. They are very techno savvy, and being a young nation, when we aspire to become a 5 trillion economy by 2024, the academic institutions have a great responsibility to promote innovation and entrepreneurship. We need to come out of our comfort zone of studying and celebrating our intellectual capabilities being demonstrated in terms of intellectual work other than entrepreneurship alone. That is equally good, but we need to add entrepreneurship and innovation as a basic criteria for appreciating the learning. And finally, we have got so many schemes that we need to keep an eye on. We have got Make in India, Startup India, Stand Up India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and many. And in present time, if you see, we are having so many challenges where we have all the opportunities to develop innovative solution, not for globe at the first go, for our vicinity, for our institution itself. If we have to start our overall academic activities in person, what can be the innovative way to make it more safe, considering the time and the risk? How can we do better? And kind of, we can take into account the challenges and develop solution. Innovation and entrepreneurship is not a discovery. It is more of addressing the solution in a more innovative way, in a different way, which make an impact and which solve the problem for real value. So this is how it has to be seen. And we all need to start working on that. It's a great time. So it's a great time when everything is to favor of entrepreneurship and innovation. We should not miss it out. So with that, I'll conclude. I'll be happy taking questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. बहुत ही डिटेल में आपने और बहुत अच्छी तरीके से सारी चीजें बताई स्टेप बाय स्टेप. तो अभी किसी का कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो हम लोग ले सकते हैं. किसी कोई क्वेरी हो? स्टूडेंट में से
अरविंद सर, आप अनम्यूट कर लीजिए अपने को. मैंने सेटिंग चेंज कर दी है, हर कोई अनम्यूट कर सकता है अब.
ओके. तो बहुत अच्छी तरीके से सर ने बताया है. तो अभी किसी की कोई क्वेरी हो, कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो हम लोग ले सकते हैं अभी.
अरविंद, मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है.
हाँ मैम.
Professor Mishra, thank you very much, first of all, for your valuable time. and for giving such an exhaustive explanation of the innovation policy, startup policy. एक सवाल मेरे मन में आया जब आप बता रहे थे कि इनोवेशन का ये काम जो है वो अपने इंस्टीट्यूशन की बाउंड्रीज तक लिमिटेड नहीं होना चाहिए, वी कैन इन्वॉल्व आउटसाइडर्स आल्सो। तो उसमें जैसे मैं जानना चाह रही हूँ, जैसे हम लोगों का कॉलेज जो है सिचुएटेड इन अ रूरल एरिया, और आसपास के जो विलेजेस हैं वहाँ पर से अगर कोई इनोवेटिव आइडिया निकल के आ सकता हो तो उसको कैसे हम लोग टारगेट करें, और कॉलेज के फंड्स को आउटसाइडर्स के ऊपर खर्च करना भी एक गवर्नमेंट कॉलेज में इशू होता है, उसको कैसे टैकल करें, और फिर उस इनोवेशन को हम अपने कॉलेज का इनोवेशन कैसे दिखाएं if it involves an outsider?
Thank you, madam. Thank you for asking such a relevant question. In fact, in this transition, these things are more prominent because we are addressing many of such issues for the first time. So I'll address it one by one. First is, if we have to spend the institute money to solve some problem which is beyond our institution, how to use that? Because there are governance issue and we are a government institution. So as the policy says that by a special provision, we can allocate 1% of the fund to Institute Innovation Council, and it can be created under Section 8 company. So once you create the Section 8 company and you allocate 1% of fund, then that becomes the challenge of the board of that Section 8 company to decide how and what they are spending, and they have to go by the audit norms of that Section 8 company. So that is one way. If we are not creating Section 8 company, even then, in our board meeting or college development committee meeting, we can pass a resolution that institute under its Institute Innovation Council is going to undertake some project where this kind of financial allocations are done. And if the college development committee approves it or board approves it, it is very much within the norms. I don't see that any audit question will be stopping it. So this was first part. Secondly, being in rural area is a kind of blessing for two reasons. One, rural areas, we have not seen much of the great innovation reaching out to them. Secondly, the rural areas have their own conventional wisdom, which has not been taken to outside world in a more professional way. So we have both way opportunity. In rural areas, we can identify the critical challenge that the given area is facing, and we can develop innovative way to address those challenges. We can develop solutions, and that become our intellectual property right. Secondly, if the wisdom is already lying there, we can refine it and we can bring it to our innovation council and try to get it patented. And we have already discussed that in such cases, it can be a joint patent. Somebody has got it and our innovation council is facilitating it, contributing to it. It can be a joint patent by institute and the team which has got this wisdom. And both the person who has that wisdom, institute, and the institute team of innovation council can further take it to commercialization, where all the sharing of stake or revenue can be as per the given norms. So all these three are possible. I hope I could address the question.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, madam.
सर एक क्वेश्चन और मेरे दिमाग में आ रहा था कि अभी जैसे आपने बताया कि फाइनल ईयर में हम कुछ सब्जेक्ट इनोवेशन से रिलेटेड कोई पेपर या कोई चीज हम इंट्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं, तो बेसिकली क्या है कि हम लोग तो यूनिवर्सिटी से गवर्न होते हैं, तो पहले मतलब वहां पे चेंज हो तभी, क्योंकि वो तो सब पूरे यूनिवर्सिटी तो सब कॉलेजेस के लिए एक ही बनाती है, तो ये कैसे हम कर पाएंगे सर?
अभी बहुत सारी चीजें चेंज हो रही हैं. अभी मैं खुद ही यूजीसी की कमेटी पे हूँ जो अंडरग्रेड मैनेजमेंट का कोर्स आउटकम बेस्ड करिकुलम बना रही है, एंड हमने 4 साल का प्रोग्राम प्रपोज किया है जिसमें 4th ईयर डिसर्टेशन या एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप है. सो हमने ऑलरेडी किया हुआ है उसमें. ऐसे अगर यूनिवर्सिटी के को हम लिख सकते हैं कि वी वांट टू इंक्लूड दिस कोर्स, दिस इज वन पार्ट. अदर देन दैट वी कैन हैव द एक्स्ट्रा क्रेडिट कोर्स, जैसे स्किल बेस्ड कोर्सेज हैं. आजकल जो नया करिकुलम आया है, अगर आपके पास आया हो, तो उसमें बहुत सारे स्किल डेवलपमेंट कोर्सेज हैं. तो उस स्किल डेवलपमेंट कोर्सेज में हम एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप या इनोवेशन जैसे कोर्सेज को इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं। उसमें जो भी यूनिवर्सिटी का कोई इशू नहीं होगा, यूनिवर्सिटी एक लिस्ट देती है, उस लिस्ट के बियॉन्ड भी हम लोग इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं। अगर वो भी नहीं होता है तो हम सर्टिफिकेशन कर सकते हैं, जो हमारा करिकुलम है उसके बियॉन्ड हम सर्टिफिकेशन कर सकते हैं, एंड दैट कैन बी अ गुड वे टू नॉट वेट फॉर things to change at the higher ups, at the higher levels.
थैंक यू सर। और किसी का कोई क्वेश्चन हो, कोई चीज पूछनी है सर से तो?
और आखिरी चीज, अगर कुछ भी नहीं होता है तो हम अपने स्टूडेंट्स को इस तरह की एक्टिविटीज में नॉमिनेट कर सकते हैं, जहां हैकेथॉन हो रहा है, जहां वर्कशॉप हो रही है, क्योंकि पर्पज है बच्चे को सिखाना, बच्चे को ये बताना कि एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इनोवेशन अच्छा है, ये एक अच्छा करियर ऑप्शन है, और वो सबके पास जो टैलेंट है अगर उनको लगता है तो उस टैलेंट को यूज करने के लिए हेजिटेट नहीं होना चाहिए। तो इसके लिए अगर कुछ भी नहीं होता है एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिवली, सपोज 1 साल तक वेट करने की जरूरत नहीं है, बहुत सारे वर्कशॉप चलते रहते हैं, जहां भी वर्कशॉप हो रहे हैं IIT IIM से लेके दूसरे इंस्टीट्यूशन तक, या MHRD के जो वर्कशॉप है वहां हम अपने बच्चों को नॉमिनेट कर सकते हैं, और उसके बदले में हम उनको अटेंडेंस भी दे सकते हैं, क्रेडिट भी दे सकते हैं।
अरविंद जी।
बिल्कुल सर। हाँ दिनेश जी।
हाँ, मैं इसी पॉइंट को थोड़ा क्लैरिफाई कर रहा हूँ। जो सर ने जैसा बोला ना कि भाई एक हमारा डेजर्टेशन हो सकता है, रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट, आप NEP का पार्ट है, 3rd ईयर डेडिकेटेड हुई है, आपका एक पर्टिकुलर 6 क्रेडिट का कोर्स दिया गया रिसर्च और एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इसी चीज के लिए, वो डिसाइड करना है कि कैसे होना है। दूसरा, स्किल ओरिएंटेड कोर्स मैंडेटरी हो गए हर सेमेस्टर में, और वो लिस्ट है। उसके अलावा लोकल बेस पे भी हम उसमें स्किल ओरिएंटेड की विशेषता है कि उसमें जो सिलेबस वहां से आएंगे उसके अलावा लोकल लेवल पे भी हम ऐड कर सकते हैं इस काम के लिए। तीसरा, क्रेडिट ट्रांसफर, यानी अगर कोई ऐसे इनोवेशन का कोई सब्जेक्ट, कोई कोर्स ऑनलाइन चल रहा है तो ऑनलाइन कोर्स को भी हम ऑन करके उसके क्रेडिट यहाँ ट्रांसफर करा सकते हैं। तो अब जो मल्टी डिसिप्लिन आ रही है, जो अप्रोच आ रही है जुलाई ऑनवर्ड, उसमें सारे जो सवाल हैं आई थिंक उनका आंसर मिल जाएगा।
बिल्कुल सर, थैंक यू सर। तो अब समअप करते हैं।
थैंक
यू सो मच सर, आपने अपना वैल्यूएबल टाइम दिया हमें, और अभी ये स्टार्टअप है, हम आगे भी आपसे चाहेंगे कि कोई हम इस टाइप की कोई प्रोग्राम कराएं तो हम आपको जोड़ पाएं उससे, और आप इसी टाइप से अपना जो वैल्यूएबल टाइम है वो हमें दें। और आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर, क्योंकि बहुत अच्छी तरीके से आपने सारी चीजों को ले लिया, स्टार्ट से लेके 11 डायमेंशंस, और फिर सारी चीजें आपने कवर अप की। उसके लिए सर आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। हमारा कॉलेज स्टाफ, ये जो है आज छुट्टी है, और मेरे ख्याल से एक ही दिन की छुट्टी थी, उसमें भी सब लोग जुड़े हुए हैं, उनका भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। स्टूडेंट्स जितने भी थे वो लोग भी हमारे साथ जुड़े, और उनके लिए ही हमने ये प्रोग्राम कराया था, उनका ही बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। तो मैं सभी का, जो भी लोग प्रत्यक्ष अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से यहाँ पे जुड़े रहे, उन सबका धन्यवाद, क्योंकि YouTube से भी बहुत सारे बच्चे जुड़े हुए हैं और उन्होंने इस प्रोग्राम को लाइव देखा है, तो ये उन्हीं के लिए सारा प्रोग्राम था। तो आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। एक फीडबैक फॉर्म इसमें चैट बॉक्स में डाल दिया है मैंने, तो प्लीज सब लोग उसे फिल कर दें। और दिनेश जी अब एंड करें।